Hello and welcome, Dan Rowntree, to this episode of Hospitality Talks. Thank you so much for joining me. Dan, the co-founder of BrewLDN. For anybody out there watching who doesn't know you, would you just like to introduce yourself and let these people know who BrewLDN are and what you do?
Yes, thanks for having me, Katie. It's very kind. BrewLDN we're a beer festival. We're a beer events business, but we're a bit more than that. We're a data-driven beer events business, so provide insights for retailers and also for breweries.
Okay, thank you very much. Now,
probably emphasise that BrewLDN was the last beer festival that happened for the whole industry at the end of February. So I think for a lot of people, it was the last memory of socialising with their peers. So hopefully we've got a real positive impact on a lot of people. And then hopefully we'll be the first beer festival that is able to operate in any kind of normality when this all ends in February 2021.
Absolutely, and I remember it well because I bumped into you whilst I was going around with my beer glass myself. Dan, the reason I've asked you on today is because you commissioned a report on the beer enthusiasts that KAM conducted, and that was in conjunction with Kegstar and Fleet Street Communications and BrewTap. And I wanted to have a bit of a chat with you today because that report, first of all, to anyone watching, that report is actually available free of charge. We'll give you details at the end as to how you can get hold of that, and it'll be underneath all the socials and stuff like that. But I just thought it'd be really interesting for people out there to understand how the beer enthusiasts' behaviour has changed and where we see it going in the future. So, first of all, why did you want to conduct that report? Why was it important to BrewLDN?
Well, we sort of rolled out of BrewLDN this year with roughly about 15,000 consumers. And we started to engage with these guys during lockdown. We sold them a beer box and realised that we had a very engaged, I guess, consumer database. And we got to thinking, how best can we leverage that? And there's a lot of breweries in need. There's a lot of retailers, trying to prepare for the future. And there's a lot of people guessing about what consumers are going to do, what they've been doing, and we got to thinking, well, we should just ask our very engaged beer enthusiasts what they've been doing, what they did, and what they're going to be doing in the future. We didn't really know how that was going to turn out. We didn't know how many people would respond, but true to form, by offering 200 tickets to February 2021, we got 2,600 of our 15,000 database answering a 9-minute questionnaire. So it's actually some really robust data, and I'm hoping that people use this for great effect in the future.
Brilliant. So, the $1 million question: who was the beer enthusiast, and what has changed during lockdown? How has purchasing been changed?
Yeah, no, I mean, so we actually, well, you and I, as in KAM and BrewLDN, coined the term beer enthusiasts. And I think it's because we've got this unique space. We're not the top end of the tree. We're not the real nerdy beer geeks. We're the kind of what I call the people that have F&B as a hobby, but it's not their number one passion. Mm-hmm. So we've got this kind of white space of easily influenced consumers, but people that have an opinion. So I think previously they were looking for people like us, people like say Beer 52, for example, for little pointers about where they should go and what beer that they should drink. But we're happy to be led, and that's still very much the case. They would probably go to their local bottle shop, once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, but probably do the large majority of their shopping, for booze specifically at the retailers. And I think they were drinking a little bit less in terms of occasion, but more when they were drinking, and that seems to be the case. And do you want me to touch on how things have changed?
Absolutely. Please do let us know. I mean, I know that from looking through the data myself that we're looking at some really interesting changes in things like frequency and consumption and everything else. But lead us and the viewers through some of those changes that have happened during lockdown.
Well, I think for me the most interesting thing for brewers, for retailers, and just for the general knowledge in total is that 75% of the people that we asked actually ordered beer for the first time directly from breweries. Wow. That's a big chunk of people, and so there's going to be that kind of support that's built up. And you know, if breweries are really clever about this, you know, the lifetime value of that consumer is huge. You know, it's not a one-off purchase. It's not dumping your stock into a wholesaler or a retailer, and fingers crossed it goes to the right consumer. You know exactly where that is. You can consumer profile them, you can serve them different information. It's so invaluable. But what actually it tells you for retailers is that if people are buying local or buying directly from breweries, when they come into probably the few times, they're probably going to be going into the on-trade and off-trade, sorry, on-trade less now. When they go in, they're going to want to be drinking the beers that they're used to at home now. And so I just genuinely believe the average selection of beer is just not going to be good enough anymore for the on-trade.
So we need, so you're saying we need a wider selection. Are you talking about different styles? Are you talking about different price points? And, you know, what does that wider selection look like?
I mean, all of the above, really. I mean, it's no surprise that lagers, pale ales and IPAs are still a big chunk of that kind of style-wise, but you're still seeing stouts creep up. You're seeing some more kind of like lambics and sours creeping up there. So I'm not saying that every single bar should have every single style, but it should be considered. It should be a consideration, and definitely seasonality is a big play. But I think just people are up for discovery, and I don't think I read a report somewhere that the CEO of Deliveroo was like, look, it's changed consumers' behaviour. It's fast forwarded it 3 years.
Yeah.
People now are, you know, just expecting things in real time. It's like, I don't like that, I want something else. And it's not okay if when you go back into that place, if that drink that you didn't like last time is still there, or there's not another option for them, it's not going to come back. I mean, I'm slightly different because I'm a bit of a beer snob anyway, but I will not don't drink that often. When I do go to, you know, out, I want to make sure that I'm going to be drinking the beer that I want. I won't, you know, go to a bar that won't have the beer that I want to drink.
And talking about drinking out occasions, then I know from this research again, I have actually had a look through it, and I have studied it in quite a lot of depth because I found it fascinating how drinking occasions have fundamentally changed. And we're not just talking about how people purchase and what they purchase, but actually when and where they're purchasing and consuming. So I think, you know, the whole Zoom online hangout thing, like in my personal opinion now, if you are a manufacturer, if you're a supplier, or even if you're an on-trade or off-trade retailer, you need to be looking at that occasion as a totally separate, brand new occasion that you never marketed to before, and that needs a totally different strategy from the other strategies that you have for occasion. But also, of course, the drinks in the park occasion, or drinks in public places occasion, where legally, please drink responsibly, etc., etc. What's your thoughts on how beer drinking occasions?
Well, I mean, you've just highlighted there the two new ones, really, or the ones that are just going to not go away at all. Mm-hmm. That kind of the Zoom hangout, you know, quiz, you know, catch up, tutor tasting, you know, that's going to get so sophisticated over the next, you know, probably the next 6 to 12 months, and beyond that, it's not going to go away. That ease of going, like, I'm just going upstairs or down to wherever your computer is to go and just hang out with my mates for an hour, and then I'm just going to come and engage with my family again. That's awesome. I mean, that technology has been there for a while, but it's almost like the social acceptance of that now has just gone, and it's just not going to go away. And as you suggest, that every single brand, going back to my agency days, I'd be pitching these ideas now into all my clients to say, look, what's your strategy? Because, you know, our research is telling us that 52% of people are going to continue to do the Google Hangout or the Zoom call post lockdown. It's not going to go away. So that needs to be considered in a big way. And I think, you know, like anything now, it's just another element of the marketing mix for a marketeer. But, you know, for a brewery, you know, specifically, you know, their omni-channel strategy has got to be very well considered. So they obviously got a very well, the guys that have done really well, Tiny Rebel, Sirens, the guys that had a very established D2C channel, they've absolutely killed it. But going forward, that as a skill, selling direct to consumer, it's not okay just to have a web shop. You've got to have a sophisticated, you know, marketing plan to know how you're going to really blow that open. And I say omni-channel strategy is making sure that the beer that you're selling to a retailer is potentially different to what you're selling online, and pricing needs to be very well considered. And you know, if you're going to still want to play with the on-trade, you've got to make sure that what's available in one place isn't available in the other. There's going to be a lot of category management stuff that needs to get a lot more sophisticated in the future.
And just to finish up, but I've been really encouraged, and I think there's room for everyone. I think it's great to see the big guys doing well, and actually a lot of the big guys have stepped up to support specifically the on-trade and help it to reopen, and I think that's fantastic. They've got the deep pockets to do that. But I've also found it really encouraging that so many people have been more interested in supporting local breweries since lockdown. So, and in your mind, is that about the discovery piece, or is that about community, or I don't know, maybe it's a bit of both? And do you see that continuing going forward?
I mean, look, I mean, we run a competition within Brew London called Brew Accelerator, and the winner of that this year, Abyss Brewing, almost have started, with D2C as a channel, and it's almost like many of these guys are lucky in some ways, and if they really make the most of it and focus on that, not necessarily worry about what they haven't got, but worry about what is open to them. That's the key, and to answer your question, yes, it is about community. Yes, it is about people having, ownership. I'm not talking about physical, points in a company, but, emotional ownership in a brand and a person, and people and, a process and all the things that consumers love about craft products. It brings it to the fore more. Social media, the ability to, to connect people online is obviously a lot easier now. So I think if brands and companies are right, they can bring people right into the heart of their businesses, and like I said, create those emotional bonds, and people have an emotional association with the brand, which is all about lifetime value of a customer.
I absolutely agree. So just once again, for anyone that's watching that wants a copy of this Beer Enthusiast report, there will be links below here for you to click and drop us an email, and we will send you a free copy of that report. Dan Rowntree, co-founder of Brew London, thank you so much for your time. And I also just want to say another quick thank you to Kegstar, Fleet Street Communications and BrewTap, without whom this report would not have happened. So dream team, well done everybody. Thanks very much, and thanks for your time, Dan.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.